Kia ora everyone. Thanks for joining today and welcome to the third in a series of webinars, Tech Talent in Queenstown Lakes. These webinars are designed to highlight the changing landscape here with the growth of new businesses outside of traditional tourism, which of course is something the Queenstown Lakes is already pretty well known for. I'm Sharon Fifield. I work within the economic development team here in the Queenstown Lakes District, along with Peter Harris and Huia Ackerman, who are both online. And we're here to facilitate and support new business and diversification in the Queenstown Lakes. But we don't do it alone. There's lots of further support for growing the tech industry here locally. There's some good work already happening on the ground in terms of support for film. Startup Queenstown Lakes is also here to help grow new business, and there's also the development of a long-term strategy for diversification underway. Over the last year, we've had support from central government who have invested 20 million in a diversification fund for the district, as well as investment towards a research and innovation hub, which is currently under construction. So lots of exciting things happening here, which is great. We've also seen some of our talented locals put their hand up to help drive diversification. Whakatipu Hangaro Trust has been formed and recently completed a tour of the USA, where they've learnt from other tourism towns around how they have diversified and grown the tech industry and what infrastructure is needed. So I'd encourage anyone who's online today or listening at a later date who wants to learn more about moving a business to Queenstown Lakes to check out the website healthierbusiness.org. We can also view the first two webinars that we've run as well. But enough from me. So today we've got some great panelists joining us. Before I get to them to introduce themselves, just a bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded and we'll make that recording available over the next day or so. And we're also going to be taking questions, which I'll put to the panelists at the end of the webinar. So if you have a question that you want to ask, pop it in the Q&A box, which is just at the bottom of the screen. If you want to put it to a particular panelist, just pop their name beside it and I'll ask those at the end. So a very special welcome to our speakers today. So we have, and actually this is a bonus prize because Charlie, you weren't going to join us originally, but good to have you here. Charlie's the CEO of Queenstown Resort College. Jacqui McLean, who's the Academic Director of Queenstown Resort College, and Duncan Faulkner, the founder and CEO of Southern Software and founder of the TechTown online community. So I'll let you all just quickly introduce yourself before we pop into some questions and understanding more about what you do. So Charlie, perhaps let's start with you. Can you tell us, just give us a quick intro on who you are, what you do, and what drew you to Queenstown Lakes?
Hey, thanks, Sharon. Yeah, Charlie Phillips. Good morning, everybody. What drew me to Queenstown was back in 1994, I arrived here actually, so some time ago. And the landscape of this community has changed a significant amount since, but fundamentally it was for the skiing. I quite enjoyed my sport, and I'm from Tasmania. Travelled around the world. My wife's from Taranaki, and we decided to land in Queenstown after a winter in Canada. And then over a period of time, you sort of evolve. I was in tourism for a lot of years, where I was the general manager of a company called Europcar New Zealand. So that was quite a busy job, travelling around the country and Australasia. And then the college role came up in 2007, and I thought, dealing with talent and the lack of in tourism, I thought this is a really nice way to make a contribution. And it was only a 2 or 3 year plan for me, but it's turned into like a 14, 15 year plan, and that's just, it constantly evolves. It's been really enjoyable. And always changing. So the college looks significantly different now to what it did back in 2007. And what we're really excited about is the contribution we can make to the community around diversification, not only with education, but what we can teach within that and creating talent, which is what we're embarking on now with our tech programs.
Awesome, and look forward to hearing more about that soon. Jacqui, do you want to introduce yourself? What drew you to Queenstown Lakes?
Kia ora. Yes, I actually started my time in Queenstown right back, and I probably don't really want to say too much about it, but late 80s was when I came here. I used to work on my uncle's farm, and that was Mount Rosa Station prior to
Wow.
it going to wine. So it was a high country station. So all my high school holidays were spent working there, doing all the things that you need to on a high country station. And so my husband was from Invercargill, and he used to spend all his summertime up here as well. So we headed off overseas, as most Kiwis do, and we're supposed to be away for about a year, and we ended up staying away for 13 years between London, Singapore and Amsterdam. And we both knew that when we came home, we definitely wanted to come back to Queenstown Lakes because we had such great memories growing up here. So yeah, that journey started bringing back 3 children, and yeah, we settled here at the end of 2009. And I knew that I was previously in the education system as a teacher, and I knew that I wanted to keep doing that. And so the opportunity at Queenstown Resort College presented itself, and yes, but like Charlie, the rest is history.
Cool, thanks, Jacqui. Quite often the case. Hey,
Yeah.
Duncan, welcome.
Good morning. How are we?
Yeah, good. How did you end up here?
I started out in the UK originally, so it's a very bizarre story, but I was originally a police officer over in the UK 14 odd years ago, policing in a town called Northampton. I was given the opportunity to emigrate through to Queenstown. I'd never been to New Zealand, but it looked fantastic when I Googled it, and being mid-20s back then, I thought let's take a punt and move. I arrived in the district and really never looked back. I stayed in the police force for probably less than a year before I was drawn to more exciting opportunities in the region. Since arriving, I've ended up training as a commercial helicopter pilot, and I guess my tech journey has been, around understanding some of the challenges in aviation, which then led me to create my first tech company and enter that industry. But yeah, we've just been overwhelmed at all the opportunities, not only for business, but the skiing, the biking, the lifestyle. It's easily the best decision I ever made was to hop on that plane and come and check out Queenstown Lakes. Yeah,
great. And quite different lifestyle from Northampton, I'd imagine.
Oh, look, I used to walk to work back in Northampton in the drizzling rain through a dirty city, dreaming of lakes and mountains and listening to country music on my MP3 player. Back then there wasn't any Spotify. I used to dream of the lakes and mountains, and having since arriving in New Zealand, I really have managed to get the lakes, the mountains, the lifestyle, the family, the joy. It's not been without its challenges, but it's a pretty incredible life, I think, and most people that live here would agree with that.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely agree. Thank you, Duncan. So one of the reasons we have Queenstown Resort College, Charlie and Jacqui here today, is the exciting new course in machine learning fundamentals, and really keen to learn a bit more about that today. Charlie, perhaps starting with you, can you give us a bit of background on how this course came about, why you introduced it, and how you think it's going to help with diversifying the local economy?
Yeah, no problem. I guess it goes back a few years before we even thought of the machine learning component, but I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce for a lot of years, and part of our role there was to really gear up some structure around economic diversity, which actually resulted in us lobbying council for where you are now, Sharon, with Peter. And
well, thank you.
So you're welcome. But look, and then as things evolved, we had this entity called Study Queenstown, which was trying to promote Queenstown as a study destination, which we've gone some way to doing. Went through a period of growth. COVID came along, and with COVID, where they say with adversity comes opportunity. The opportunity around the real will and desire all of a sudden for the community to diversify its economic base became really apparent. Yeah, there was nothing like a pandemic to actually sober you up a bit from the sort of the tourism party. And as a result, there were some real genuine conversations, the first in a long time, or first ones that I can ever recall about what's next. And we fielded a couple of phone calls from the panel, the Mayoral Task Force that was responsible for economic development, and had some conversations. And as a result, we were asked about our ability and desire to enter into the tech education world, which we thought, why not? We're pretty good at the education piece. We understand how to produce good outcomes.
Yeah.
And we've always been looking for a third leg in Queenstown, if I'm being honest, to complement our other programs. And this came along, and honestly, the moment that we met some people in the industry, the innovation that's going on in this sector, the resources that are available, it seemed like an absolute no-brainer. So we presented to the board. They gave a pretty quick tick of approval, and then we embarked on figuring out what programs to start developing. And we found a gap. There was a significant gap. We were just going to go to the NZQA framework and take a couple of qualifications, but when we listened to our advisory board and what their needs were, we decided we needed to write our own program, which put us back a good 18 months. However, it was the right decision because it addressed a need that was that industry were telling us. And we've been through the approval processes and now ready to start delivering on the 21st of November. Sorry.
Awesome.
Our machine learning fundamentals program, which is then followed by our responsible AI and then a machine learning group project.
Cool.
So we're looking to create a stack of micro credentials. There's two phases of work going on at the moment. One is around delivering the first program and doing a really good job, and we've managed to recruit some fantastic staff to assist with that. And then the other is around continuously developing programs and building up a real base of suite of courses here in Queenstown for delivery. To actually, and the whole underlying principle around it is about developing talent. If you want to create an industry, you need talent. And that's our lane. That's what we're sticking to.
Awesome. And I guess the great thing about QRC delivering the course as well is you've got all of the infrastructure around accommodation and the pastoral care side of things for students as well, which is great.
Look, exactly right. I mean, there's always talk of other institutions coming to town, but the reality is there's significant barriers to entry to starting education. We can house 240 students. That's not a simple thing to do. We've assembled a really good staff. Our pastoral care and the wraparound support and our understanding and experience in that is something that's pretty valuable. Mm-hmm. And of course, we've got a fantastic facility here in the middle of Queenstown, which we can actually make room for the tech component. And Queenstown, the nature of it is that the growth of our education will just see us pushing into more space and more real estate around the central business district of Queenstown.
Cool, good to hear. So this is the first step, really, I guess, with the course starting on November 21st. Yeah. And then from there, it just sounds like, there's opportunity to grow.
Look, there is no ceiling. I mean, we've in the last 48 hours alone, we've had some pretty good meetings with industry. And what's really apparent is that we've just got to be smart enough to put this together and work with industry well to enable something that really will see Queenstown and this district and QRC as a result being a, dare I say it, a thought leader in this area.
Great, good work. Thanks, Charlie. Hey, Jacqui, can you just give us a bit more detail around an outline of the micro-credentials?
Yeah, sure. So the focus, as Charlie mentioned, was we went and we listened to industry, and the feedback was entry level and similar to a trades-related qualification. So that you had the entry level starting and being able to progress into employment, so that once in employment they could be trained within their companies or that in the business. And so the focus with us is machine learning fundamentals. It's a certificate, a micro credential at 40 credits, and takes you from no experience in machine learning to be ready and eligible for employment with entry-level skills. And the focus there is, yes, there's a lot of online courses where you can look at code and do all that. What we wanted to trial, and what we're working on here is actually learning by doing with, great lecturer in there, facilitators in the room, access to industry mentors, all of that to really work to ensure that we've got graduates ready for that stage and being put into employment. And
Yep.
we're also running along the tech side of it with the soft skills, so that they're able to have their presentation skills. They know what it's like to work within teams, problem solving. And so that's why we build on. We have our 40 credits, which takes 10 weeks. Then we progress into responsible AI, looking at the ethics involved within machine learning. And then progressing on to machine learning team project, where they present in a team, they modify and work on a machine learning system.
Great. That sounds really interesting. So what kind of, who are you finding is taking up this course?
Yeah, it's really interesting. At the moment, we've had a lot of inquiry from older people, in terms of, when I say that, normally within QRC, we're looking at around the 18 to 24 demographic of school leavers. This has attracted interest within the community and outside of those upskillers, career changers, looking to add something else to their already their qualifications, and knowing that actually machine learning, artificial intelligence is part of what's happening within the workforce as digital transformation continues.
Yeah, great. Now, so you've got the first cohort, which starts November 21st full, right?
Yep, so we're taking that, yep.
Yep. So at the end of the course, if an employer wants to kind of potentially take on an intern, or, how could employers or future learners get involved in this going forward?
Yeah, we've been really fortunate with our industry advisory board in terms of extending our reach throughout tech companies. We've also been actively communicating and in touch and setting up meetings also with a number of organisations that are looking for talent. And that's probably really helpful from where we've been working with Duncan as well. And just extending the reach for the demand that is there, and basically working towards, the main thing out of all of this has been to listen to industry about what they need and where do they see the value within learning about machine learning. And that's what's driven us with this, and that's why we continue to work and listen to industry.
Perfect. Great. And so Duncan, thanks Jacqui, you've obviously been quite involved with QRC along the way as well. But what I'm interested from you is, what types of roles, given you're a tech employer, and you can talk a bit about that, but also you've founded TechTown to grow a tech community here. What kind of roles are you seeing in demand here locally from employers?
I mean, everything. So front end, back end, full stack. Everything is happening kind of in the Queenstown Lakes at the moment when it comes to technology. There's just a massive demand for staff. Generally, I think what's really interesting about what the Resort College is doing is, as I mentioned, they're creating the technology. They're creating the tech, and what we're trying to do with TechTown is to connect the technology resources, so connect the people together. What we find in the Queenstown Lakes is there's incredible experience and expertise, people working from home and having this really beautiful work-life balance. And what we're trying to do with TechTown is to draw those people out of their homes and get them connecting and collaborating, and really trying to get that tech industry to go from being a secondary industry in town to being, trying to get it to become the primary industry if we had our way, and the expertise of the people that are living locally, they're the ones that can make that happen, and that we are seeing signs that is taking off. Yeah,
absolutely. So I guess it's an opportunity. TechTown, the idea is it's an opportunity for employers to post jobs, but it's also an opportunity for talent to connect in a community which they may not otherwise necessarily have had if they were remote workers, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really almost like the welcome mat out to anyone that wants to get involved in the tech industry in the Queenstown Lakes, whether that's from overseas and you're just curious about moving here to work, either working remotely or working for a local employer, or for those that are already here and are active in the tech sector. So it's just about creating a space for people to have those dedicated conversations around tech. So simple things like creating a personal profile about who you are, what you're doing, who you're working for. Businesses can create profiles, startups can create profiles about what it is that they're up to and what they're specializing in. People can post jobs in there, and then we can also totally geek out on various technology conversations. So there's various channels in there that you can subscribe to. But really, it's just about creating a self-sustaining online community where people can meet online, but also get together and have coffee, go skiing, go biking, and meet in person.
Cool. Where a lot of the great ideas happen, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, on the chairlift or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's the URL for TechTown?
It's just techtown.nz.
Okay, brilliant. So thanks, Duncan, given you've been in business, you've been in the business community here, what have you seen change over the last couple of years?
It's just transformed.
Yeah.
Like, it genuinely blows my mind a little bit. So if I talk about my experiences, we launched our first tech startup 8 years ago, and that was focused on health and safety for adventure tourism operators. We developed an online tool that helped adventure tourism operators comply with health and safety regulations and protect their staff and their customers. So doing that 8 years ago was a very lonely place to do it.
Yeah.
And that was a reality. There were one or two other tech companies in town, but you were surrounded, as a founder, you were surrounded by tourism and construction, which made it very isolating. What we've seen over the last 8 years, we've seen startup Queenstown Lakes get established, and that's gone from strength to strength. We've seen the council start to recognise, or dramatically recognise, the importance of technology. And we've also seen, because of the pandemic, all those smart people, relocating back into the Queenstown Lakes. So whereas before you would be, you try and do a tech meetup and you might get 6 or 7 people, now we're regularly getting 60, 70 people attending these events. And the caliber of people that you have in town is incredible. I was at a lunch a couple of days ago, without getting political, but you're now seeing, the CEO of startup Queenstown Lakes running for mayor and being backed by Rod Drury, probably one of New Zealand's most successful businessmen and tech founders, backing him, backing Olivia, but also backing Queenstown Lakes. These guys and girls, they see the opportunity, and they're not just talking about it, they're spending their own money. You're seeing Rod investing in all kinds of things around town to try and build out that vision. And there's I think that recognition that some of the world's most influential and knowledgeable people pass through Queenstown.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's happening all the time. So this is becoming a real meeting point, a melting pot, where we're able to have those really high-end conversations about the future of the world from the Queenstown Lakes. And it really is incredible, the people that are coming through here, and there's investments that are being made to create special meeting places for some of these industry and world leaders. So when they arrive in town, they can have really meaningful conversations and then go out biking and skiing.
Brilliant. Yep, that's definitely a good benefit of where we are. Actually, you raised quite an interesting point. Your tech business, you started basically with health and safety for the adventure tourism industry, which is really interesting when you think about, we're very well known for tourism, but there is a lot of opportunity, I guess, for tech to support tourism. So we're seeing, hospo tech and tourism tech, which I guess you were in, those sorts of companies and those sorts of clusters really kind of grow. So basically leveraging what we do already well, which is tourism, but actually helping us to do better.
Yes, and that's become the basis of of what we do with Southern Software. So Southern Software is a venture agency, and we work with local businesses, specifically in the Queenstown Lakes region, people that are, I call them tech curious. They understand that there's a better way of doing business and there's opportunities, but they don't really understand how to implement them. So what we do is take our learnings from that 8 years of founding a business to selling it, and we apply those to local businesses. So we're doing all kinds of interesting things around, we currently have a skills shortage for frontline staff in tourism. So we're looking at developing tech that can solve that problem by working with local tourism operators. Likewise, we're surrounded by agriculture. So we're working with orchard owners to help them improve the quality of their fruit production. So we're solving really local problems using smart technology, but with that mindset of building a product that can be really tested heavily in the Queenstown Lakes region, but then grow and be exported overseas. And that's what we're seeing more and more. And this is, I think, what Rod mentioned the other day, was using the Queenstown Lakes as this test bed for technology and innovation. Let's build it here, let's test it here, then let's scale it globally. And let's have fun in the process, right? It's an epic lifestyle, and this business is a lot of fun down here when you're doing smart projects surrounded by smart, fun people.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Duncan. I did have another question. Oh yeah, you mentioned the untapped talent. This is really interesting. So you being as an employer yourself, I mean, what I've experienced, and I've got a couple of examples of this, is that a lot of the tech talent here locally, they might be actually, high skilled remote workers. They're actually working for an offshore company, but they want to connect locally. Or they might be, they've traveled here and they're working in a completely different day job. And they just, as soon as an opportunity in tech comes up, that they might jump at that. I mean, how do you find recruiting tech talent locally, I guess, and where might you find them?
Where would you find them? We went for a phase there where you were having some extremely well qualified engineers pulling beers in the local pubs. Yes. So there was a phase there where there just weren't enough technology companies in town to even be able to employ these folk. And to be honest, a lot of them had had really successful careers overseas and had come to New Zealand to de-stress and do a normal job, right? They were quite happy just loading bikes on the gondola or pulling beers in town. But what we found was, as soon as we posted job adverts, they were all coming out of the woodwork. So we were finding our developers, and it wasn't overly hard. They were just involved in different industry. They're all involved in tourism. So they are out there. And they are looking for jobs.
I've just got one story to add. Was it a couple of years ago, an agri-tech business that was looking to open a satellite office here was really unsure about how much talent there would be locally, so decided to put an ad out, actually had a bit of a recruitment roadshow, at a venue here, and just said, look, if you're interested in a job in agri-tech, be, this venue at this time and come along and learn more about it. And, I think there was about 30 people that showed up that all had different jobs during the day, whether it be hospitality, for example, and they were all interested and had some good experience. And he was pretty impressed and didn't realise that there was all this hidden talent there that, you wouldn't otherwise see. And like you say, Duncan, it's all it's a bit chicken and egg. It's the more tech companies we have, the more talent. The courses like what QRC are offering, starting to develop those pathways into tech. It's a really exciting time to be here.
And I think you need to be mindful as well, when we talk about the tech industry, we're not just talking about our developers. We're talking about everything else that's required. And there's direct crossovers there from the tourism industry into technology. When you're looking at customer service, for example, if you can speak well to people in person, you can do that online as well. If you can project management a construction job, you can probably project manage the build of a piece of software as well. If you can communicate well, it's really, really important. So while we see, QRC, we really see them as developing the next stage of technical resources, but that hopefully will just merge in beautifully with the existing folk that are in town already that are looking to get into the technology sector and move away from tourism. I think what we need what we're going to start to see over the next 12 months is some of those businesses really starting to scale, and some bigger companies moving into town, and it really starting to take off and expand.
Yeah, great. Charlie and Jacqui, do you have anything to add around this conversation?
No, look, I'd endorse what is being said. I think one of our learnings has been that to really get some drive and momentum into the tech sector here, we need to start attracting some bigger brands. Yeah. And so that's some of the conversations we've been having. I think, with the trip that Whakatipu Hangarau did recently, I think that what they learnt within the tech towns is that the startup community is quite small, and it's the bigger brands that actually give impotence and actually help the startup community thrive alongside that. So one of our focuses strategically is to partner with some of these larger organisations to try and get some signs up in the street that say such and such lives here, and once you do that, then you're going to actually start to create a real culture around it, and that just feeds into all the other things Duncan's been talking about. So I think we're pretty consistent there, but that's just one observation that we found. Yeah,
cool. Thanks, Charlie. Now, just a reminder for everyone who is joined us today, if you have a question, pop it in the Q&A box and we'll ask it, because we will be coming to a close soon. I have a question for you all. If you were to give any, a piece of advice for tech businesses or talent considering a move to Queenstown, what advice would you give? Anyone can jump in.
My advice would be, anyone considering doing tech in Queenstown Lakes would be to factor in how to really leverage the lifestyle.
Yeah.
So you can make money anywhere, but you can't always have an amazing lifestyle, and you can't always have an amazing lifestyle for your kids, for your husband, for your wife. Moving to the Queenstown Lakes, you will get that. You will get huge amounts of it, and I think there has to be a consideration for when you're looking at the culture that you want to build for your Queenstown Lakes office is, how do you make sure people can enjoy the lifestyle and then come to work and be extremely focused? Yeah. And I think that's got to be the forefront of people wanting to move here. I don't think people are necessarily money driven when they're choosing to do technology in the Queenstown Lakes. I think they're driven by fun and lifestyle and a genuine sense of wanting to make a positive change.
Yeah, great. Good piece of advice.
Also, make sure you pack your on-piste skis and off-piste skis and your mountain bike as well, and probably a couple of kayaks before you relocate.
Yeah.
I had written down here, it's the lakes and the mountains, and that equals the lifestyle. But I think what an important point around the diversification and what the tech industry brings is that it actually complements what's here already. One of the challenges and some of the data we looked at a few years ago was around the amount of kids that leave this community. I think that, look, you're not really going to change that a lot and shift the dial majorly, but what we can do is provide an environment that gives them the choice to stay or the choice to come back. And that is exactly what we, what drives us to do this. I also think that you will see a more stable community. I think there's a lot of people who come here because mum's got a job or dad's got a job, but sometimes the partner can't find a role that suits them. And I think with more choice becomes more opportunity and allows people to settle better. I think that's one of the challenges, because most people you bump in on the street aren't born here. They've chosen to come here, and it doesn't work out for all. And the fundamental is that people haven't quite figured out where they belong and what role they can do. And I think tech has a pretty significant role to play with that. And I also think tourism has a pretty bright future here. It's still going to be a dominant sector, but look, the complementary nature of what tech can do to enhance that and also to build its own industry is something that we've got a lot to look forward to. Yeah,
and like Duncan was saying before as well, I think that it is a benefit having tourism as a strong industry here, because you've got this constant flow of people and talent and ideas coming through, right? So it is quite complementary.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a question actually from the audience, which I better ask these. Hey, since can't all be my questions. I think, Duncan, this is probably one for you, and you sort of touched on this already, but how are you currently recruiting untapped talent, either offshore or inshore, and what mechanisms are you using to recruit?
In terms of, so we're purely focused on hiring within New Zealand at the moment, and where possible, Queenstown Lakes. So we're using seek.nz and TradeMe as our primary places to post adverts. We're trying to build up the TechTown community, so that becomes a primary place for people in the Queenstown Lakes to look for tech jobs. And I mean, to be honest, also just having local connections as well. So, you know, literally one of our developers was a senior SAP consultant for 25 years and was also on my daughter's ski team, a parent on my daughter's ski team. So we were sat on the chairlift and with her husband and found out he was married to a developer. So we were pretty quick to get her back into the workforce and working for us.
There you go. Proof it does happen on the chairlift. Funny. Hey, one more question. Thanks, Duncan. One more question for you is, you mentioned about the tech meets growing from 6 or 7 people to around 60 to 70. How long did that take?
So 8 years. But what you saw was for the first half of that was very, very slow. Tech started becoming more of a possibility in town, and then bang, the pandemic hit. And then it just exploded.
And
so really the last
remote talent, people being, you know, actually stuck here but deciding to stay, right?
That's right. So when I said exploded, it exploded in terms of volume, but also exploded in terms of the quality of people. So again, you know, I was at a dinner a couple of days ago and stumbled across a guy that had done 15 years working at Microsoft in the US. And, you know, so we're catching up for coffee later on to look at product ownership. So there's an extremely high caliber of people floating around, and we're just in the process really of getting everyone together and rallying it behind the industry now. Interesting.
Thanks, Duncan. And one for you, Jacqui and Charlie. The duration of the courses offered. What is the duration of the machine learning course?
Yeah, so machine learning fundamentals runs for 10 weeks, and that's what we classify as full-time. Basically, the course will run from 8:30 through to 1 every day. And then that's also, there'll be tutorials support as well. The Responsible AI and Machine Learning Team project are full-time within 3 weeks as well.
Okay, right, cool. And so to find out more, obviously go to the QRC website. The information's there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Another question for you, Jacqui. You mentioned soft skills to go along with machine learning knowledge and skills, which is great, but wondering about harder business entrepreneurial skills too. And is that something QRC might do, or via your tourism management, or need more in the district to combine all together? So I guess this is just looking at, is there any opportunity for new courses around business entrepreneurial skills?
Absolutely. So we also, with our diplomas, we talk about delivering management through the vehicle of tourism and hospitality. And also from a business management entrepreneur side, those are all within those diplomas. But that's the beauty with micro-credentials, is that you can, they're industry specific. They're short, sharp pieces of learning that you're able to gain qualifications from. So we're always looking at what our next, where our next qualification is coming from based on industry demand, which is driven by our graduates being able to be employed. So we are able to, we run leadership courses, we have tourism operations. There's a number that all deal from an entrepreneurial side, but also which we're all seeing as an important understanding as wellbeing and diversity. Courses that we run in that also go hand in hand with the soft skills, and also dealing with this next generation that are going to come from, especially the younger generation that are coming through the disruption of COVID, of giving them those actually employer skills to be ready for employment, but also for resilience, and making sure that then while they're studying, we wrap them around with the pastoral care side, but also at the same time making sure that they're work ready.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jacqui. Duncan, a final one for you, I think. Just around the fact that it sounds like there's plenty of opportunities for developers, but do you see any opportunities for PMs, programmers?
I think there's opportunities across the whole suite of roles within tech. We have to be mindful that most of the companies that are in town at the moment are still relatively small. You know, we've got the likes of First Table and Werewolf are starting to scale, and I think they're set around valuations of kind of 30 million, but they're still small on the global scale, very small on the global scale. So their base of employees is still quite small locally. But what we're finding is they're desperate to hire more staff locally. So we're seeing that the likes of Werewolf they've got a base over in Denver, and they're finding that they're any skill shortages that they have here in Queenstown Lakes, they're making up for over in Denver. Right. Their priority is to try and have more staff in the Queenstown Lakes. So people that are wanting to come to the region and have got any skill set that's required within the tech industry, there's a very good chance there'll be a job here already, and you'll get snapped up.
Yep, great to know. Thanks, Duncan. We are running out of time and we're running out of questions, I think. So that has been awesome. Thank you all for joining and sharing your knowledge and updates. Just to close out, I just want to say that we at the Economic Development Unit or Startup Queenstown Lakes, we are here to help and guide and assist you with a move to Queenstown or any information you want to know. Check out healthierbusiness.org. You can actually go to that website and book a call with us if you want to do that. We're in the business of connecting people to opportunities, so we can connect you with local people that can help you just set up and get settled here in Queenstown Lakes. So I think that's all for today. We will send this recording out so you can watch, and just thank you so much for taking up the time to learn more about how we're growing tech talent in Queenstown Lakes. So thank you, I'll leave it there, and we hope to connect with you soon. Thanks, Jacqui, Duncan and Charlie, that was great, thank you. See ya.